Were you the type of student that some people were telling you have to go to college over and over again when you're barely making ends meet at home? Sebastian Medal is that kid, an excellent graphics designer. Here's his story on this episode of Disrupt Education.
Frank Miller returns, it's a battle of the gods. Superman, Bruce Wayne, pockets full of wads. The Dark Knight in his habitat, Jason with the rat-a-tat. Clark Kent possessing laser attack. Katana's on a dead back, pool full of blood, gang banging on the flood. Blips stay superior, Hydro Man remains inferior. Universal Cruise with a silver exterior. Red skull pinned on the chest, got a black mask. Hail Hydra. Harley Quinn, girl, I love when I'm inside ya. Agent Carter's up next, Central Time, bruh.
All right, welcome back, Disrupt Education. Peter Hostrawser, Sebastian Medal here, designer extraordinaire. Tell us a little bit about what you do, man.
Pretty much what I do is anything graphic design related, so album covers, posters, logos, pretty much the whole deal. That's kind of what I want to be, like my own brand. So any type of graphic designs needs you have, just come to me and I'll get that done.
Got it. We're going to put his stuff right here, Sebastian Medal, all his information out there. So you are taking some classes at college, right?
Mm-hmm. Full-time student.
Full-time student. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought you were part-time,
Nope.
which is even cool. Better because, again, we were talking with other students before, but you're full-time and entrepreneur and just hustling like
Yeah,
crazy.
pretty much, and go to work.
So tell me, what's that like? What does your life-work balance look like right now? How did you get into being an entrepreneur and being a full-time student?
Well, pretty much the way I got into being an entrepreneur is, I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't in business class when I saw you give that speech about like you know, when you show the motivational video.
Yeah.
And I saw that video and like, I don't know, like the feelings it stirred in me each time I saw it. Like, it just made you want to like hustle. And I was actually in AP Economics when I saw it. That's why I was in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it and I'm like, dude, like, gotta go put in some work. And then later on, you know, just kind of like my passion, what I've been doing my whole life, kind of caught up with making money, you know, like entrepreneurship. And
So what was the message in the video? Do you remind me, like, or what did you get out of it?
well, basically the message was just to like go hard, because even when you were telling us about LL Cool J and like the life he had, how
Right.
like the stuff that happened to him like as a kid, and like how, you know, how he was like tough and mentally tough, he had to go through all that and still succeed and get, you know, accomplish all the stuff he did. Like, I'm just like, you know, like my life wasn't easy as well. Like, I don't know what happened to him. Did somebody die, right?
Yeah, like there's
Well, like,
a lot of commotion in his family.
like, let's say, okay, for example, like my mom died when I was a kid. My parents are immigrants, and we came here, and it was kind of rough growing up, because like I had to like translate stuff for my dad and like do all this like you know, stupid stuff that I didn't know how to do, and like I kind of related to that in a sense, because like I had a tough time growing up, and then I'm looking at him like, look what he did with himself. Like, why not me? Like,
Right.
I can do that too. And all it like took was just finding out what I was gonna do to do that. Like,
Right.
And that's where graphic design came in.
The cool part about you is, you did go into the traditional route a little bit, and you know, you're just hanging with some people and relationships and things like that, and then
Just
something
like-
like
just like-
snapped. It
Just
was
like how I thought, like life.
Right.
I mean, you know, you get like socialized from like watching like TV shows and movies. Like, that's kind of what you do. But then like, you know, stuff happens, and I was just like, you know, got hooked on to Gary Vee too, and it was just like, dude, like, let's just get this, like, let's just do it, you know, like 20 years old, like, you got your whole life ahead of you, like, you got to plant the seeds now so they grow later, like. And
you also have a pretty cool, your counselor knows you very well.
Man, if it wasn't for my, or first of all, like, the two main people that I would honestly, like, say have influenced me, and, like, if, like, when I become successful, and I'm going to come back and talk about, is you and Derek Krajewski, my counselor. I feel, especially for him, it was almost like a blessing, because it's like, you're here, like, you know, Polish kid, Polish dad, Polish background, and then someone, like, my first year I had, like, some old lady as a counselor. I'm like, like, she was telling me, like, I gotta, like, I'm scared to do math and stuff like that. I'm like,
4-year
I'm
college,
like, what the hell? I'm afraid to do math. Like, get the hell out of here. But, and then he shows up, like, out of the blue, like, like, can relate to me and all this stuff, and it's just like, you know, sometimes things happen for a reason, and you really wonder if, like, someone, like, I don't know, like, is, like, putting stuff together up there or something, you know, and it's almost like the things that have been happening to me recently, it's like, you have to keep going, because the things that have been happening and they've been putting together so perfectly, it's like, I don't know, I just feel like something's just saying like life just you have to go this, you have to do this.
I felt like actually in high school you had the opportunity to fail, like right,
Yeah.
like because I know like in my class we talked about this before. The final project that we were doing, we were building a portfolio, and you're like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to do my thing, and I'm going to put it on a website and all these different things, and I really that tested me as a teacher. But what was your thought process through that? Because at that moment, like you were like, this is what I'm going to do. There was something there, even though you had some bumps along the way, even to get to where you are now and where you're gonna go.
I think I was just being like a master procrastinator at that time, so I was
Right.
still gonna do all this stuff, but it was gonna be like at the very end. But
Right.
I was still like even during that class, like I wasn't doing like the work, like the Microsoft stuff, but I was like designing stuff, like album covers, or just still playing
Yeah.
around with Photoshop. And it's honestly like with the stuff I do, it's like just hours and hours of just like just
Work.
doing it.
Right.
Like just even the stuff that you make at first isn't like good, like it's
Yeah.
still practice, and it's still like you learn, you know, how to maneuver through Photoshop, and then everything you do, like even if it's not good, will build on to like
Right.
what you do later.
So what actually is, I noticed that right away. Like I could see some of the things that you were creating, and there's no way I can stop you on this. And I don't even know if you realized how good you were at the moment. I don't think you did. Like
No.
it's because you just had a skill. But I think that kind of hopefully allowed you to go into what you were doing. So with that, what are some of the, I'm guessing that was a good time.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
right? Like
and
that's your
especially 'cause
final
I didn't
project.
have like a graphic design or an art class senior year either, because I had to take like required classes too. So like I guess I was trying to squeeze that in any chance I got.
Right. So, and I knew a lot of classes you would pop in here and not really like you wouldn't be at, maybe skip some other classes and things like that. Why do you think you were bored or maybe just disengaged from high school? Not in certain areas, but in other areas.
Man, to be honest, why? Because like I was at that like point where like, you know, they're telling me I gotta go to college, but I don't know how like any of that stuff works. Like I know my dad doesn't have a job, and I'm like, all right, how am I gonna go to college if I don't have any money? Like I still didn't know about like FAFSA and all that and how that stuff works. So like, to be honest, I was even thinking about joining like the military or something, cause
Right.
like which would have been a, you know, like huge mistake for me, because I would love doing what I do now.
Right.
But once I, you know, just asked some questions and I figured out like how the stuff works, and I figured out like, you know, there's assistance and all that. It's like,
Right.
I think I was maybe just scared, to
Right.
be honest.
But
I
that
just-
fear kind of drove you, didn't it? A little bit.
Yeah, it
like,
did.
but there was like a pad like to land on. I think.
But I definitely always came here though. I always
Yeah.
came to I wasn't in the art room.
Right.
I was in the business room.
That's
'Cause I
true.
knew I wanted to be like.
Because we got
around
a
this
killer
area.
art room here, man. Like this,
No, and even like I remember
Yeah.
like the first time I was in your class too. Like I came in and I came up like after like class, and I'm like, I told you like what I did and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and I was like, that was still when I was still nervous to like talk to people, like, you know, come up to like people and just
Right.
let them know who I am. Even when I told you, I'm like, how do I come up to the guy at Modest? How do I introduce
Yeah,
myself?
right.
And then I go up there and now I'm like practically like good friends with him. So
What so beyond like even in the classroom, outside of the classroom, or in what you're doing now, have you ever had like a failure that you've learned from, like big time? Was there something that you know, you don't have to be too explicit and like name names or anything like that, but
yeah,
yeah,
definitely in a relationship.
Mind sharing
but
one?
yeah, that's just not for me, bro.
Yeah.
Not right now. Absolutely not. I'm like, especially maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the people I land on, but it's like I'm not like in that position where like I can really like do that. So like,
relationships you're talking about, yeah.
well, because it's like,
Yeah.
like where are you gonna take them? Like, I don't
Right.
have a car. I don't have a place to stay. Like, my dad can't speak English, so you can't
Right.
introduce them to him. So it's like really hard for me. So it's like, of course, they want to meet your parents. It's like you can't really do that. So then it kind of like, I would say like kind of hurts me on the inside that I can't like have like I
Right.
said, like how I see like on TV or whatever, or my friends, how like they just invite their like parents or their girlfriends over, and their
Sure.
parents, it's all nice. So
Right,
like,
right.
I had that failure where I'm like, wow, well, I guess I can't do that. So it's just like I just accepted it. Like I also accepted the fact that like I don't have like a car right now, so I have to like
Right.
walk everywhere, bike
Right.
everywhere. And then like once I accepted like the failures and like the stuff that I know that I can't
Yeah.
do right now,
Yeah.
like, and it's just started like grinding and working. Like nothing can
You're
really
seeing
stop you.
results, man.
Yeah,
Like-
just, and it's funny how like stuff like that, even maybe like because I never had like money for even clothes, or my dad didn't buy me clothes when I was in high school, so I always wore like really like terrible off-brand stuff or stuff
Yeah.
that didn't fit, and like I even remember I used to like get made fun of too for that stuff. Even for being Polish too, I got made fun of and discriminated against, and like
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff, it really like I think can like put me in like a shell and maybe not want to really like spread my wings, you know. So like, I'm getting attacked for all this stuff because I mean like, you know,
That you
grew
can't
up in
control,
I
right?
grew up in River Forest where everyone's rich.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the people, and like here I am, like my dad doesn't have a job, like you know, like.
So right now, with where you're going, right, you're surrounding yourself with people who don't really care about that. They just care about grinding, right?
Exactly, and they don't care about any of that stuff. They don't care about that. They're like genuine, nice people, and I also like left a lot of people behind too that I was friends with. I had to. You have to. I've seen interviews where people say that like they had to leave people behind and just stop hanging out with them because I know for a fact right now some of the people that I was hanging out with, if I was still hanging out with them every day, I would not be where I am right now. Not be. And then they text me and they'll like message me like, oh, like you, like that's like dude, that's awesome. You should come chill or something like that. It's like no, dude, like I gotta keep doing. I'm sorry. And you have to have that strength in you to say no. Like just.
Do you think that the system that we're in high school could, how would you make that happen in a high school? Right? Like, I think we could do obviously disrupt education. That's what I'm all about. So I think we can like do a better job of putting like-minded people around each other. So some of that, all the racism and the sexism and all those things kind of dissipate because everybody your group and you're facilitated. How would you do that? Would you think about that? Because I think that would dissipate if everybody's grinding and just looking for, okay, this is my craft. This is what I want to do. Do you think that would help? Like
I think,
in high school,
all right.
So, what's your vision?
All right, let's say, for example, you're like a athlete. Like, where do you go to like grind? The weight room. Well, let's make something like the weight room for like business people who just want to grind. Well, I guess that's like the business club too. But like, let's just make it like other people's grinds.
But in the curriculum.
Or maybe in a curriculum too.
Right.
That would be like a way. Like for example, I train. There's like a weight room class. Like, why can't there be a class here that's just like grinding, just like you would do in a weight room to get more muscle, but for like your business.
Right. I got you. That's very intriguing. I like that.
Make a weight room for business.
So do you think that's why like a lot of people are disengaged in school?
Man, I possibly, and it's also because like you're young. You honestly, like, I mean, in high school I had like a 2.4 GPA. In college, my first semester I got 4.0, then like 3.8.
Yeah.
And then like 3.6. I like. It's because you're young. It's like you don't. I don't. That's the only way I can explain it. Like I was young. I've done some stupid stuff when I was a teenager. Like the only reason I can explain why I did that because I was stupid. I was young.
So final words, like if you had somebody who was, with that young, how could we better? One thing you would say you got a guy who's sitting here and he's like, okay, I'm going to create the next high school law. What would you tell him? Like I'm gonna make something different in high school. I'm gonna make it, and I want to seek your knowledge. What would you say?
Be like, just do it, like.
So do what? Like that's what I'm asking.
Oh, what would you want to do?
Yeah, what would you want to do?
Okay, well first get in contact with the people that can make it happen. Like go to the principal, go to the administrators, maybe.
What would the change be? You know what I'm saying? Like in a high school, that's what I'm talking about, right?
Okay,
like,
what would the change be? Like
yeah, because I mean, part of it worked for you, part of it didn't work. What would you make the whole experience look like in a nutshell? It doesn't have to be like.
All right, here's a good law. There should be something where if you fail a class, there should be a way for you to like redo it somehow. Same
way or different way?
A different way.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because what happened to me freshman year is I didn't know about a GPA. I didn't know what that was. Like, I wasn't good at math and I failed math, algebra my freshman year. But it so happened that the teacher was really nice and she talked to some people and they let me retake the final second semester, so I ended up passing the class.
Okay.
But it's almost like, like I hate math and I hate doing it, but like it kind of does make you a more rounded person just knowing like how to like problem solve that way. Even though I don't like it, I really don't want to do it, but like I wish someone could like
what if we attached it to your designing?
You know what, and that's also that's what you bring it up because like when you design even on like a graph sheet of paper, you use like a compass.
Geometry.
That's right. Geometry, but geometry I loved. I loved that. I wish maybe you can pick like instead of doing algebra, more geometry classes because in geometry I got a B, but in algebra classes I was like D.
Wow. Yeah. I mean that's because I talked to you about.
I mean, I was like this. I was the type of kid that in a algebra class, like I was drawing. Yeah. I was like constantly drawing.
You could draw like formulas. Right? So solid. Sebastian Medalla, thanks, buddy. Sebastian Medalla, designing
That's what I do.
Hustling, making some things happen, album covers, musicians. Wow. I can't say enough, man. Look him up, man. Thanks a lot, man. Disrupt Education. Appreciate it. We will be back.
The best.
We the best. Shout out to Khaled, man. All right, we'll see you next time, guys.
Frank Miller returns, it's a battle of the gods. Superman, Bruce Wayne, pockets full of wads. The Dark Knight in his habitat, Jason with the rat-a-tat. Clark Kent possessed the laser attack. Katana's on a dead back, pool full of blood, gang banging on the flood. Blips stay superior, Hydro Man remains inferior. Universal Cruise with a silver exterior.